We are going to try again. Hopefully a few of you can jump on the stream a second time. I apologize profusely for the absolute shambles that was the first attempt at doing this. So to run us back down what it is we're trying to do, I'm going to keep looking at the screen to make sure nobody pops up and goes, by the way, you've still got no audio. So fingers crossed. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take all the questions that you've been sending me over the last week from Instagram and from my YouTube community page. So my Instagram's at BootWizardReviews. You could put your questions on my story there, and my community page, I put up a poll every day. You can jump on there and you could leave me questions. So if you've left me a question in the last, say, hour or so, I might not have seen it yet, so put it down in the comments. If not, I have gone super high tech and I have put all of these lovely questions together. Don't actually need the headphones anymore because I think I fixed the audio. So I've put all of these lovely questions together with a super high-tech piece of paper. There's quite a lot to get through, which is great. So thank you everybody for doing that. Remember to like the video, get subscribed to the BootWizard channel. We've got a lot of great content coming. And let's jump into it because I'm not sure how many people are actually going to be able to jump onto the live now because obviously, well, the first one was supposed to be 45 minutes ago, but the audio completely messed up. So, what can you do? These things do happen. So, let's just double check that we are running smoothly, which hopefully we are. And let's do, there we go. Fingers crossed, we are laughing right now. We are all good and we are going. Right. So we're going to start from the top. All of your questions, all of my answers. I'm going to start with AA Bestuk. It's AABESTC. Runs on YouTube channel, man of some good knowledge. Definitely worth checking out. One day I'll work out how to exactly say his Instagram handle. These first questions are all going to be from Instagram. And the first one's really interesting. It is, what do you think of recycled leather? And is there a market for boots of such material? And I think there's a market for anything that is pushing towards a greener, more environmentally friendly football boot these days, whether that be a recycled leather, whether that be a synthetic leather. It is fairly well known that leather isn't particularly great for the environment, but there again, you can make the same argument about some synthetics, I am sure. So maybe pushing towards something like, or maybe a big brand taking a big gamble, something like cactus leather, trying to make that more affordable, could be a huge move. So I think recycled leather, there's definitely a market to push there. I think more and more people are becoming aware of their environmental impact, their carbon footprint. There's a company recently called Kingdom. They tried to make all of their boots more environmentally friendly. I don't feel like they nailed all of it, but the idea was there. So what do you think of recycled leather? I think it's a great idea. And is there a market for it? I think there absolutely would be. Irvin Football Clips has joined us. Hi, Irvin. Now, Irvin, you are the first person to comment today. So can you tell me if you can hear me? Because we have had serious audio issues over the last 45 minutes. Murat, welcome. Long-time follower of the channel, frequently comments on the videos. I'm doing well, mate. I hope you're doing well also. And Andy, thank you for joining. Thank you for confirming that you can hear me. Praise whatever you want to praise. It is fantastic that we are on. We're going to keep piling through. And we're going to get through the comments here, and we're going to get through your questions up here as well. And Hugo has just asked one. Are you against buying and selling boots in order to be able to buy more boots? Not really. Like, there's a limit to everything. Like, if you're going onto a website where, say, for example, there's a limited edition boot that's just been released, and you're going to try and buy 2 or 3 pairs of them, or even 1 pair of them. Take these, for example, the Memory Lane F50s, if your intent was to go on, buy these memory lane F50s and then sell them on at a profit of, you know, 100, 200 euros or whatever, then I think that's a problem. I think that's a huge issue with just the business of football boots as a whole. It's scalping, it's nasty, I don't like it. I will make a full video on that very soon. But if you're just buying boots and selling them and moving them around, I don't really see a problem in that. That's the same as anything. Like, I have a lot of boots, as you can see. I'll sell some, and I definitely sell boots to buy boots. I've got the Rose Lavelle Tequila on the way to me, and the Rose Lavelle Tequila is the same. It's the V3 Pro, so it's the same as the current Tequila I have. So I'm going to sell the current Tequila in order to pay for a little bit of the Rose Lavelle one. So I don't see a problem with it per se, you know? Yeah, Hugo, I know you stand by. Yeah. Leandro, another person who has been frequently on the channel. Hi man, how you doing? If you had to wear one for a whole season, Future Z or Future 5.1, 6.1, love the content, keep it coming. I'll always keep it coming, thank you very much. For me, that's a fairly easy one. The Future Z is a good boot, but I have a bit of a love affair with the Future 5.1/6.1. So for me, 5.1, 6.1 would definitely be what I would pick for the whole season. Future Z is definitely a good boot, but the 5.1, 6.1, that is more my cup of tea. Who do you think is going through, Real Madrid or Liverpool? Based on current form, Madrid, surely, because Liverpool are shocking. Okay, Madrid haven't been incredible, but Liverpool have just been awful recently. And my shirt may kind of allude you to how I feel about that. I am not upset. What about enjoying them for a few months and selling them? I have that exact pair. Honestly, I don't think that's a huge problem. If you have them for a few months and then you want to move them on, that's not a massive deal. I think it's always about how much you're trying to make as well. Like, if you have a pair of boots and your intent was to keep them, and then you're like, I want to move them on, and you make a bit of profit, then go for it. If you're going to try and make 200 euros or double your retail value, then you've got an ethical question there as to whether you think that's right or not. But if you can add like a finder's fee or a rare boots fee and make a little bit of money off that, I don't really see it as a problem. It's about doing the thing. Like, honestly, if you look at what you're going to do and you think, is that right? Am I kind of like, is this a bit dubious? Then probably you shouldn't do it. But yeah, if you've had them for a few months, especially if you've worn them, by all means, then you can move them on. You've enjoyed those boots, move them on. If you just kept them for a few months, decided to change your mind because you want to pick up some other boots, then do it. Just don't charge an insane premium on top of the boots. There's people trying to shift those boots for 600 and 700 euros, which is madness. Oh God, we got a lot of questions coming through. Got any recommendations for wide feet? Got the Puma Ultra 1.1 leathers, but they're not the best fit for me and they're really hard to put on. The Ultra 1.1 leather actually is a little narrower and a little lower volume than the regular Ultra 1.1, so you should definitely try the non-leather variation of that. The Phantom GT, which I have behind me just here, the Phantom GT, you should definitely check that out. That's pretty good for wide feet. New Balance do all their boots in a wide fit, so if you have a really wide foot, they're worth checking out. And then the Puma 5.1 and 6.1 from the previous generation, super cheap right now. One of the widest boots you're ever going to come across. Definitely have a look at that as well. What else we got? What's the most iconic boot of all time in your opinion? You can only choose one, colorway included. I'm gonna go with a boot that doesn't really need me to pick a colorway because the boot is super important. It's another question from Hugo, and it's the Copa Mundial. I think that is the most iconic boot of all time. I also think that you could argue it's the most important boot of all time. So black and white, Copa Mundial, that's where I'm going. I think if you go back through time, that's the boot I would pick. I like Man U too. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's been a rough few years, but you can never really complain as a Man U fan. It's never been that bad. Not since, well, basically not since I've been alive anyway. It's just the market supply and demand though. It's how much they're worth. Okay, I'm going to answer that in a different video because it's not as simple as supply and demand. and to use, a lot of resellers use the concept, use the phrase supply and demand to cover up all kinds of evils. They're like, oh, it's just supply and demand, it's just supply. It's not, you're being a dick. But like, yeah, it's not just supply and demand at all. It's a huge topic and I'll have to put that into another video. So stick around for that. Like, you have to keep an eye on the channel for that one. It's not really something I can go into in a Q&A where I'm trying to get through a lot of stuff. That is a very big topic with a lot of things to kind of unpick. Where else are we at? The only flaw in the future 5.1 is its water retention. How does the future Z fare in this regard? Yes, the 5.1, 6.1 wasn't great in kind of muddy or wet weather because there's a lot of exposed knit. You still have some of that with the Z around that central band, but honestly, it is better than what you would have got on the 5.1 and 6.1. So it's just more covered. So you are going to get less water retention and it's going to be less of a problem in those super muddy conditions. So that's a bonus of the Future Z. What's your favorite speed boot? My current favorite speed boot is probably the Superfly 8 or the Vapor 14. Vapor 13, also fantastic. I will go to the X Ghosted sometimes just for that ridiculous outsole. I love the outsole on the Ghosted 0.1 and the Ghosted Plus. I think they're great. So yeah, it's the Vapor really. Like that's where I'm gonna hang my hat, is probably the current level, the current Vapor or the previous generation Vapor. I heard you have to go down like 1.5 sizes down in the Mundial. Any truth to that? Yes, absolutely. You need to go down at least a size, maybe 2 sizes to get a Mundial to fit correctly because of the amount they stretch. So yes, be very wary of that if buying a Copa Mundial. What color would you like to see more often on boots? For me, I think it's dark green, dark red. I like the Rising 5-pack from Nike and really like the old retro. Yeah, Tom, absolutely. Red boots are phenomenal. Red boots are underrated. Not even dark red, just red boots. I like red football boots, and I would love to see that kind of make a comeback. Last year, I was big on yellow. Not like Volt yellow, like yellow. They're like a yellow boot, like the Lotto, the Maestro that came out. The yellow in that, really like that. I think this year, red. Red could be what I want. I have a question. I see a lot of Indonesian Instagram sites selling football boots, AG and numerous Europa 2 for approximately 80 euros. What's your opinion on that? I'm very interested in them. Honestly, it depends site by site. Some of them are genuine, some of them aren't. Some of them are also made from kind of like mismatched parts and they're put together. So they're not actually put together by the company. They're put together by this Indonesian site, and they have like some sole plates, some uppers. They put them. It's a weird situation, really. They like B level products, basically. If you're unsure, don't buy. That's the long and short of it. And yeah, it would depend on the specific boots and the specific site as to whether I'd go for it, but you should definitely be very careful. And if you are unsure, just leave it. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Yay, Yuli is here, my man. Quetzalcoatl? Is that, am I pronouncing that correctly now? I don't know. Yuli, let me know down in the comments. Hugo, if you're only buying one pair and went through the process like everyone else, I think it's okay, but I'll rest my case. Looking forward to the other video. Yeah, Hugo, I still kind of disagree, because if you only buy one pair, you go through the process like everybody else, and then you try and sell it for double the price. I still think that's a problem. But again, we'll get into it in a video. Do you have any recommendations that don't hurt your foot at the top? Because if I lace my boots too tight, they hurt my foot, but if I don't, blisters my heel. So you've probably got, I would imagine, either like a high arch or a narrow foot that's causing you to have to really like try and lock your foot in. Because you know, and that's causing lace bite basically. So you want to get something that's got a reasonable amount of padding across the top of the boot. But what you really should look at doing is trying to put a runner's loop in your boot so you can pull it tight. If you don't have anything, and maybe something with a 2-piece upper is going to be better for this, pull it tight and then you put a runner's loop in the top loop and it'll push your foot back into the heel. That's a really good way of avoiding kind of heel chafing and things like that. So that's a good one. That's from Irvin Football Clips. Hugo, Flyknit Ultra or Vapor 13? Vapor 13. Flyknit Ultra is a fantastic boot. Vapor 13 is an evolution of that, and I think it's better. Why do you support Man United from the OC Boot blog? Why do you support Leeds United? I support Man United because when I was a kid, my family, like my dad, my mom, nobody's really into football. Uncles, aunties weren't really into it. And my best friend at school was a big Man United fan. This guy called Pete. Hi, Pete. And basically, I just supported the team that he supported. The best thing about this, though, is that when he got to, I want to say, 18, 19 or something, he decided that he didn't want to support Man United anymore because it wasn't where he was from. He's from Newcastle, so he became like an avid Newcastle fan. He goes to games all the time with his son now. So he got me to support Man United because he was my best mate, and then decided that that was wrong of him, and he went to support Newcastle, and I still support Man United. What can you do? Here we go. Yes, I got the pronunciation correct. I'm not going to try it again. One win for me. Just for my Phantom Venoms for the first time yesterday. They aren't considered in the speed boot category, so like they're not technically speed boots, but they're really nice boots. The traction's fantastic. It's very speed boot-esque. I didn't love the boot because I don't like. It felt a bit plasticky to me. But you know what? If you're loving it, that's all that matters. What boots are wide in the toe box area? For example, I always go up a size in Nike boots and they end up too long. Yeah. Adidas Predator, the Freak 0.1 particularly, is very wide in the toe box, very narrow in the midfoot. So if you want a narrow midfoot, wide toe box, have a look at the Predator Freak. The new Superfly 8, Vapor 14, they are both wider in the toe box than they have been previously. So they're worth checking out as well. And the Future Z, that's also fairly wide in the toe box. So those three, but particularly the Freak, if you have a narrower midfoot, that has a very roomy toe box. So that should be able to help you out. What else we got? I have a question. Why are top-end boots so cheap in Burlington? Like, what's up with that? That's a whole situation of where they buy them from and how they get them into the store. They basically don't pay a lot for them. And then they can sell them at this crazy cheap price. It's just a case of Nike clearing out stock, Adidas just clearing stuff out. It's fairly complicated, but in essence, they get them stupid cheap so they can sell them stupid cheap. It's really that simple. Kevin Josh, how you doing, man? What boots are wide in the toe box? No, I just answered that. 1 minute. Leandro Rivera again. How you doing, man? I'm a bit obsessed with boots. Welcome to the club, my friend. I got 3 main boots for my season. Freak 0.1 low, Puma 1 5.1, and the X 19.1. I have incredibly wide feet. Is the Copa 20 Plus a good wide fit? It's reasonable, it's leather, it's going to stretch a bit, but it does have the fusion skin and all that kind of stuff to stop it overstretching. It's also a laceless boot, and I don't usually recommend laceless boots for people with wide feet because what happens is you can't really get them on, which is a huge problem. That Puma 1 5.1, you should definitely look at the Future. That might help you out. Favorite boot in the collection from the OC Boot blog. That is kind of huge, to be honest, because that's a big question and I don't really know. I have a few. Give me a second, I'll get them out. So, favorite boots in the collection. First one. This one. So this is a Puma Future, of course. It's not a very good football boot. However, these are the specific design that Griezmann had. So if you know this boot, it's the Win with a Smile collection, the limited edition. Smile on the front, and then on the sole plate, it has a smile. Mine does not. Mine have all the emojis that Griezmann had on the bottom of his boots. So it has all the dates, so like the birth of his daughter, the birth of his kids, when he got married to his wife, when he first met his wife, all of those details are on the sole of the boots. And then the same on the back here. I believe this is the date that he met his wife, is down the back of the boot, with the emoji down the bottom there. So I have a specific pair. There's very, very few of these around. So this is what Griezmann wore rather than the retail version. So I love that. 1 second. We have these. So these are my Sadio Mane Furons. Now, of course, like there's 405 of these in the world. I have pair number 1, which is cool. There's about 4 pairs number 1 though. I've seen about 4 different people have number 1 because they're all used for different things. And these particular ones were the sample pair that have been all over the world for pictures to be taken of them. So that's kind of cool as well. I would say one of my absolute favorites, which I might be able to get. Stay there, people. Yeah. It may look like chaos back there, but I know where everything is. These are my Rose Lavelle New Balance Tequailas. Again, very, very few of these. They were only released in her size, her specification with having that different sole plate on. So this is the V2 sole plate on a V1 upper, which is what the pros had at the time. I love these, and I have another pair of these. They're actually not at my house yet. They're on the way to me in an unreleased colorway for Rose Lavelle as well. So those probably top my list. I really love those boots. Right, where are we at? Least favorite boot in the collection. Oh God. What is my least favorite boot in the collection? I'm going to show you something random. I might send these actually to Yuli. This is a pair of Doris football boots. It's D-O-R-E-S. They're made in the UK. And they were a very small brand for a very short period of time. I know very little about them, but I found them at like a car boot sale and picked them up for nothing because they were interesting, but they're actually just awful. They're really, really bad, and they're not even that interesting in the end, but yeah, probably maybe those. What is the current generation day player boot combo? For example, Beckham and Predator, Rooney and T90. I feel like we don't have that today. Oh, of course, you've got Ronaldo and the Superfly. I think that's fairly set in stone. I think there's a lot of Superfly athletes, to be honest. Ronaldo and Mbappe, and it is the players that are getting the signature boots, of course. But then what else have we got? Yeah, like the players tend to chop and change a lot more now, and they're more willing to go between brands. So there's less players that are strongly associated with boots. Sergio Aguero, just generally in Puma boots, the Puma 1 particularly, was what I always would associate him with, even though it's heavily customized. But yeah, like Messi and the Nemesis, of course, but they're his signature line, and are they, you know, they're not, I'm not going to diss the Nemesis. The Nemesis doesn't get dissed on BootWizard, no matter what. Other than Ronaldo Superfly. Sorry, Hugo, I didn't read your second comment. Yes, other than the Ronaldo Superfly. I think Mbappe, because Mbappe is the player to take over from him. And then, yeah, like I say, the other ones that I mentioned. Let's have a look. Speaking on Burlington situation, why aren't more stores in the UK like that? It's because of how they get the products and things like that. It just doesn't work. And also, I reckon if you did have those stores in the UK, the prices wouldn't be as cheap anyway. You look at something like TK Maxx. TK Maxx just isn't that cheap, despite the fact that it follows a similar pattern to how Burlington would buy. TK Maxx and Burlington have some similarities, but TK Maxx is barely cheap most of the time. It's not even worth checking out, and the chance of getting boots in there are so slim. Kevin Josh, best boots for flat wide feet. I did answer this just a little minute ago, so I'll give you a quick rundown. Future 5.1 is like my go-to, basically. Future 5.1 or 6.1 would be what I would recommend for people with wide feet. You can check out the Phantom Vision, the older model, if you have a particularly flat foot. That's pretty good. Top of my head, obviously you can go for something like a Copa. They're always going to be wide, but they're not the greatest performing ones. New Balance have wide fit in all their boots, so check out any of those. Fit and comfort side, what's the most important thing you look for in a boot? For example, weight, shopping, grip, traction. That's from Andy. Andy Bernard, yeah, fit and comfort side, they're number one. Next one is my touch on the ball. Like traction is okay, but I look like I'm running through treacle when I'm running, so aggressive traction is not going to help me that much. But yeah, my touch on the ball, particularly because I play in goal a lot, so getting a really like sweet touch on the ball, something that's consistent, something that I can trust, and something that I like is really, really important. So that's my next one, is how that touch feels against my foot, and I do like a more barefoot feel. It's one of the reasons I love the Nemesis. It's just sharp and pingy and super responsive to the touch, and I feel like I'm in complete control of what's going on with the boot. If you have an Instagram, I do have an Instagram. It's at BootWizard Boot Reviews. Go and follow my Instagram. Thank you very much, Irvin. Do you do live Q&A there? I will do at some point. I usually do it on YouTube because YouTube's where I like focus all of my attention. But yes, there you go. What do you think about the New Balance Tequila Pros? The Tequila Pros. I hate them. The Tequila V3 Pro, I think they're terrible. I really dislike them. The Furon's a great boot. The Tequila, the laceless, is a mess. I dislike that boot greatly, and it takes me about 8 hours to get it on. sorry. I have a review of it on the channel, but that's my short version, really harsh review that I don't like that boot. Your opinion on buying old boots to wear, example a CTR 360 now, on the whole is fine. Interestingly, I have a video coming on that very soon. It'll be up next week on things you should be wary of. And in short, my opinion is that if you get anything from about 2010 onwards, you're going to be fairly okay. Anything older than 2010, you might suffer from durability issues, but I don't see any problem with buying older boots to wear. If that's what you want to wear, absolutely do it. Osman, hi everybody, by the way. I'm overwhelmed by the number of people who've jumped on to ask questions here. Thank you so much. Michael, Osman, Paul, like so many people. I love to shred, good name. So Paul, thoughts on Tiempo having foam pods for the next generation? Oh, Tiempo is going to be an interesting one. I really feel like Nike have got to pull this one out of the bag because the reception to the Legend 8 was not particularly good. Now, I think that there was a problem in that the Legend 8 was actually a very good football boot, but it didn't feel like what people wanted a Tiempo to feel like. And I feel like if you add pods to a Tiempo, you cause the same problem, but I'm not sure Nike care anymore about it feeling like a Tiempo, and they're just kind of forcing your hand. They're like, look, this is what a modern Tiempo is, get over it. And if you don't like it, go and buy a Premier, basically. But we'll see when it gets released. I've felt for a long while that what Nike really want to do is they want to have a classic style synthetic boot, and they want to kind of move in that direction with the Tiempo. So I don't think it'll happen because I think there will be absolute uproar, but that's my feelings. OC Boot Blog. If you aren't already, go and check out the OC Boot Blog on Instagram and also on YouTube. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel with some really great stuff, and his Instagram as well. So please go and check out the OC Boot Blog. Member of the Boot Society. Check out the official Boot Society on Instagram. You get to create your ideal boot. Pick one upper and one sole plate. Rule nothing Nemesis related. That is mean. I do have a similar question actually that was put before me. I can't find it. I'll come to it a little bit later when I get into these. Somebody did ask me to pick my ideal boot. And yes, of course it was Nemesis related. So before I try and do something that's not Nemesis related, I'll show you what I've got. So what I have here is I have a sole plate, which was kindly sent to me by Jay from Boot Hype, so boothype.com. He sent me over this sole plate, which, if you are in the know, is the sole plate off a messy Gambatrax boot. And I'm going to put this eventually onto a pair of Nemesis .1s and create a perfect boot basically for me. I'm going to have the Nemesis .1 upper with the messy Gambatrax outsole as soon as my .1s arrive for me to get to do that. So I'm going to record the whole thing, put that on the channel. So that should be a lot of fun. However, non-Nemesis related, hold on, I'm going to take a drink of water and think about this. I think I would do something like have the upper off, jeez, shouldn't have had that water, off a CTR. So maybe like a CTR 3, I really enjoyed that, but I'd put some like crazy aggressive traction on it because I really like that. So I'd maybe put, or do you know what I would do? Because this would be nice for goalkeeping, because I really like the Venom outsole for keeping. It needs to be a bit more durable and less soft, but the Venom outsole with like a CTR upper when I'm in goal, I think that would be really nice. Thanks for putting me on the spot there, Ollie. Much appreciated. Favorite small brand keeper gloves. I'm sure the keepers out there would be curious to know what's out there besides Nike and Adidas gloves. Do not buy Nike and Adidas top end gloves. They are too damn expensive. My man Tom over at Del Air Football, he does most of my glove reviews. There's tons of stuff out there. One of the bigger names, smaller brands, I realize that sounds a bit weird, is the One Glove Company. Check them out if you're not already. They do such phenomenal gloves, and they're far cheaper than anything you get from Nike or Adidas. And at the moment, I've been buying a lot of gloves from Ant1 Goalkeeping, ANT1GK. They literally have contact latex gloves at buy one, get one free, and they're 25 to 30 pounds a pair. I get 2 pairs of contact latex gloves, which are and they're good gloves, for like £12.50 each. It's completely insane. I have about 6 pairs. I'll probably give some away at some point. But yeah, Ant1 is a good one to check out, and there's so many others. There are so many great small goalkeeper glove brands that you should definitely check out. What Pumas do you like better, Future or the Speed Boot? I prefer, it's just personal preference, but I really enjoyed the Future 5.1 and the 6.1, so that would be my favorite, but that's the old model now. So of the new models, I actually prefer the Ultra, and I think the Ultra is a better boot than the Z. And if you're talking objective performance, I think it's a better boot than the old Future 5.1, 6.1 as well. So just for that, let's have a look. Where was I at? Oh, I've lost you. Fabio, welcome, my friend. Always supporting the channel. Have you seen the leaks from the new Tiempo 9? Cheers, bro. Quick one. I don't comment on leaks too much. There's a question in here which I'll get to as well, which is regarding how I get my boots. And 99% of what is here, I bought myself. I hardly get anything without paying for it. However, in Nike, with regards to Nike, I do occasionally get to work with them. For example, they sent me through my Superfly 8s, so they sent them through to me for me to review. And one of the things I do, Nike and everybody's, I try and avoid discussing leaks because essentially it pisses off the brands, and I already say and do things like, you know, I'm always super ruthlessly honest about boots, which already kind of like moves the needle away from them being like, oh, should we send him boots in case he says something bad? But yeah, so I try to avoid commenting on leaks too much. But yeah, they've been on feet, and I think they are going to be super interesting. It's weird how thin they look, and I was hoping they'd go back to a more classic Tiempo vibe. I don't think they're going to do that. I think we're going to be looking at still pushing forward with that modern Tiempo idea. Do you think the next gen Nemesis is coming out? No, I think the Nemesis is dead as a doornail, and it makes me sad. Yeah, I mean when? I don't think there will be one. I think the current generation of Nemesis will be the last generation of Nemesis, and we will never see it again. And I will cry myself to sleep every night thinking about what could have been. Here we go. Although everyone's started wearing Nemesis now. Look at all the pros. They've all got Nemesis on. They've all been watching BootWizard. Where am I at? Take a second to breathe, man. It's okay. No, I don't need to breathe. It's fine. Breathing is overrated. I'm a wizard. I can continue to talk without breathing. It's magical. Here we go. Andy, completely agree that Nemesis provide that barefoot feeling. Feel like going true to size is good in the midsection, but leaves room in the toe box. Do you recommend going half size down? I tried half a size down for that kind of exact reason, because there is more room in the toe box there, but I don't think it's excessive. Unfortunately for me, going down half a size was just too tight. Literally squeezes my toes together. It's very uncomfortable, and it doesn't break out enough. So yeah, I don't recommend going down half a size, but I can understand where you're coming from. Kevin Josh, I love the Nike Premier 2. Yes, great boot, but can't find them with an AG plate. What boots are similar to those so I can try them out? Ooh, you probably just want to look at some like a takedown Tiempo or a takedown Copa, to be honest. They're in the big brands. But if you go and check out my man Yuli from Quetzalcoatl.x. He is a master of all small brand leather boots, and he will probably be able to point you in the direction of somebody like Resell, who can custom make boots at a price that is similar to that you would pay for a Premier, and you might be able to get something that is very AG friendly. So go and talk to him. He is a leather boot maestro, and he knows what he's talking about. Okay, your name is a lot of numbers and letters. Best boots for CDM, so central defensive midfielders. Can't think of any other questions. Well, welcome and thank you for joining the chat anyway. And for best boots for CDMs is whatever boot you're most comfortable in. I do not subscribe to boots by position. If you play as a central defensive midfielder and you feel like you want to wear a Mercurial, then wear a Mercurial because that's what you're comfortable in. If you feel like you want more protection because you're going into heavy challenges, then maybe look at a Future Z, something like that. But honestly, wear the boots that you're comfortable in. That's what's important. It doesn't matter what position you play on the pitch. Fabio, thank you. Alexi, have you seen the new True Socks boots? I have. Rick Sturp34 on Instagram has a pair. He's a member of the official Boot Society. Check us out as well. He has a pair. He's shown them off to us. And you know what? I think they look decent for a first attempt at a boot from a brand that's never made boots before. They look all right. I'd love to give them a go. They're pretty much impossible to get hold of at this point. But yeah, I think they're a really good looking boot, and I think it's a good start, and I'd love to see what else they do going forwards. Yeah, there we go. Yuli, Kevin Josh, look up Ryle Lastoria. There you go. Your opinion about the Phantom Venoms. That's from Julian Azkarate Iriza. Sorry, I probably just butchered that. Phantom Venoms, I think the sole plate is excellent. I don't dislike the striking element, even though it doesn't do anything. I think the toe box is a little low, so sometimes you have to go up half a size. And I think the upper in certain colorways especially can feel a bit plasticky. Am I sad that we don't have it anymore? No. Did I prefer the Phantom Vision? Yes. I should just do my reviews like that. That's like 30 seconds. Boom. There's your review of the Phantom Venom. What's your opinion on the biggest branding failure? I think Adidas not being able to capitalize on Messi partnership is a huge failure. I agree. I think that's a massive, massive problem. How they didn't capitalize on having one of the world's best players in their boots is absolutely crazy, especially when Nike are nailing it with players like Mbappe, who don't have half the accolades that Messi has. You know, the amount of times he's won, you know, World Player of the Year. How is he not shifting boots? Some of that is down to Messi himself, his own social media presence and his personality. But yeah, Adidas really should have done more there. PBN, best grip socks. Go and check out my video. I have a whole video ranking every single type of grip socks. My answer is probably the Tabio 5-finger grip socks or 5-toe grip socks. They're toe grip socks. They're fantastic. The Falca grip socks, also fantastic. Really like those. If you're looking for something budget, Nike grip on sale, pretty good to go for as well. But yeah, I've got a whole video literally ranking every single pair of grip socks that I own, so check that out. What's your opinion, the best Puma Future, 5.1 or 6.1? Absolutely. Thank you, Sape Hit. I'm butchering these names, guys, I'm sorry. Celestino Gonzalez. Have you realized there isn't much of a difference when you put a Phantom GT and a pair of Superfly 7s? I disagree. I think there's quite a large difference between the two boots, especially in terms of the fit and the feel. I kind of get where you're coming from with the thinness of the upper and the general kind of nature of the touch on the ball and things, but I think as a package, the two boots are vastly different, the Phantom GT and the Superfly 7, and I think the Superfly 7 is a superior boot in almost every area when compared to the Phantom GT. Murad, you're back. Is there any possibility that you can review some Nike boots from 2016, 2018, like the High Venom Phantom 3, Tiempo 7, Magista Obra 2, Opus 2? I have an Opus 2, so I can definitely do that one. The Phantom 3 I've just sent to my friend Jay, so I don't have that anymore. Opus 2 I can maybe do. Soyman, yo, how's it going? Yo, bro, you think it's worth spending over $30 on grip socks? No, I think it's crazy money. Do I do it? Yes, I do. It's all about your budget. Look at it this way. If you have $30 and you can either put it into a pair of socks or into a pair of boots, put it in the boots. The boots are more important. But if you have an extra $30, sure, stick it on the socks. I do it. Do I think it's too much money? Yes. Is it an essential piece of your kit? No, just buy a nice pair of socks. That's from Nzgd. Yeah. The boots by position is a myth. I agree. How old are you? When is your birthday? I am 35. My birthday is 9th of January, so I've just got that little bit older. Should I buy the new Mercurial Superfly 8 or buy the Superfly 7? They feel very similar on feet. They both perform excellently. Buy the one that is cheaper. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with either boot. You'll probably find the Superfly 7 is on sale. You can get it cheaper, so check out the Superfly 7 is probably the better way to go. What do you think about the Puma 1, 18.1 and 19.1? Are there plastic replacement studs for SG versions? I have about 6 pairs and I play an AG, so I don't know if they're plastic studs. Yes, so the plastic studs you can get, and they're the ones that would fit into Nike boots. Nike and Puma have the same threading, I believe, and Adidas is different. So if you get the plastic replacement studs that were going in Nike boot, I believe they also go into a Puma boot. Be careful though, because even changing the studs out, the length will still be quite long and you'll still probably get stud pressure on AG. I bought the Adidas X 19.1 Uniforo pack and the boot is epic. Also the colorway is fire. Yes, the Adidas X 19.1, I believe, will one day be revered as a boot that we should have all paid more attention to. Like, such a good boot, underrated. Are Mizuno boots wide in the toe box area? Very much depends which Mizuno boot you go for. I would strongly suggest heading over to the Gaijin Boot blog, at Gaijin Boot blog on Instagram, and dropping him a message, or to the guys at boothype.com. These guys are masters of the Mizuno. They know the boots inside and out. This is not an area where I'm an expert in terms of Mizuno boots. But yes, it does depend on what boot you get. Some are wider, some are narrower. Like the Mercurial versus the Neo Beta, the Mercurial is wider in the toe box. Very much depends what you're looking for. Do you think the Merc Vapor 13 in turf are the best? I mean, is the sole plate responsive enough? The turf boots, it's not really about the sole plate in terms of responsiveness. It's just turf boots don't have a huge amount of range. It's more about getting something that's comfortable and your touch on the ball's great. But they're fine. I don't have a problem with them. What are your favorite boots of all time and why? I'm not sure I have favorite boots of all time. Current favorite boots are, of course, the Nemesis, the old CTR, that's a huge favorite of mine. The Mania, Predator Mania is probably the most nostalgic boot, the one that really sets me off, because that's the first top-end boot I bought with my own money. So if I was pushed, not for performance, for pure like feels, the Mania would be the answer. Hi bro, favorite Nike and Adidas boots? Currently Nemesis and Vapor 14 for the current lineups. Do you play football yourself or do you just love the boots? I used to play a fair amount and then I started playing lacrosse. Weird, I know. I got injured, played lacrosse a little more, stopped, started playing football again. I'm still like, I'm 35, I'm a bit injured, I'm never going to play at a decent level ever again, so I play casually, and essentially the reason I started the boots is partly because I wanted to keep in touch with one of the things I loved the most about football, which was the boots, while still playing less seriously, so that's what I did that for. That has covered the questions in the chat. For now, there's so many of you and I love you guys for it. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm going to get into some of the questions that you guys put up before this. So over the last week, I've been asking you to submit questions on Instagram and on YouTube through my community page and in my Instagram stories. And I have a few of them here. So I'm going to run them off so that you guys can see what I think of these things. So I'm going to combine what Yuli has just said about the GS models and the first question I have here, because this will be a good combination, and Andy Bernard, the Vapor 13, no question. So what do you think of recycled leather? Is there a market for such boots, for boots of such material? The answer is yes, I think there is a market, and because there's a market for anything that is pushing towards greener products, greener processes, and lower carbon footprints. And this is from AA Bestick, and I think that combined with something like a Nike GS model, Nike should absolutely be pushing something like a Green Speed that goes into their main line. They should have a boot, all brands should have a boot that's focused on green technology, and you'll notice that usually what happens with brands is a lot of that technology leaks into other lines. Flyknit, for example, starts here, ends up leaking into all the lines. You could have a boot that's focused on developing a carbon neutral boot and a boot with low emission processes and things like this, and then you can feed that information or the bits that work into the other lines and gradually make your whole process more eco-friendly. And I think that's exactly what they need to be doing, and with that I think that absolutely there is a market for recycled leather boots. Proper Retro Boots, who has a YouTube channel you should definitely check out, is a seller on Instagram as well. Wants to know my dream job / place to take this. Two different answers, I suppose. Dream job is I'd like to own my own bar. I'm a bartender. For anybody that doesn't know, I do not do this full time. I work a full-time job as a cocktail bartender. And then I do this on the side. So everything you see goes up on the channel. I film on my days off. I edit at night, things like that. Woe is me, sad times. So that's kind of my dream job, would be to own my own bar. And place to take this, the where I want to go with this, is of course I'd love to go at least part-time with this and have this as like a significant way to earn money, which it is certainly not right now. So yeah, I would love to take it to that place, but that's going to take a lot of time. I've been doing this over 2 years and we're many years away at this particular rate. Okay, Eric Diaz, Vapor 13s or 14s at the same retail price. He's been asking me this for months since the 14s came out because he wants my opinion. Man, that's a super hard question. As a package, I think I'm going to have to say the 13s, but if you want a pingier, more barefoot feel, go for the 14s. They feel so similar. They're such similar football boots. I think I'm reaching for the 14s more at the moment personally, but I'd maybe push other people to the 13s. Maybe. Oh, hold on. Do you remember when I asked you questions for Spread 21.1? I got them for €100 when they came out, and the Superfly 6 Pro got them for €40. Good deals. Yeah, like good deals. 20.1 for €100 when they came out. Superfly 6 Pro €40, both good deals. Andy Bernard, yes, don't forget to like the video. Please like the video. Get subscribed to BootWizard. I appreciate it. Like really. So there's two reasons. One, every like is a little bit of joy in my life. And two, that it helps the YouTube algorithm. So we want to get BootWizard out to as many people as possible. The longer you watch for, the more people press like, the more people comment, the more people get subscribed on every video, the more other people see BootWizard. And that really is the aim, is to get as many people out, many people to see as much of BootWizard as possible if you guys like the content. So if you do like the content, that's kind of how you support the channel without having to head to Patreon, which is another way you can support us. AA Bestic, do you ever play on TF, so on turf? Yes, but I always play on like the 3G turf, like the artificial grass, so I always use AG plates. I hardly ever play in turf boots. AA Bestic again, favorite beer? I like Mexican beer, so I like Modelo. I'm a bartender with simple tastes when it comes to beer. I don't really get into craft beers too much, but cerveza, Mexican beer, that's kind of my go-to. Soccer Knocker, lovely, lovely Soccer Knocker. If you're not following her YouTube, please go and follow her YouTube channel. She is doing fantastic stuff. Just a young, really passionate player with some fantastic knowledge on football boots. Go and check her out. And my favorite all-time footballers too, Peter Schmeichel and Roy Keane. I grew up with them. They were my heroes growing up. I was a goalkeeper, Peter Schmeichel, and Roy Keane was always on the back of my shirts. I also have to mention Dean Kiley, who was the goalkeeper for York City when I was growing up. I grew up in York, and he was absolutely my hero. I've met him a couple of times. I have a shirt, one of his match-worn shirts that's signed by the whole York City squad from a season. So yeah, Dean Kiley definitely is an all-time favourite of mine as well. She also wants to know my favourite football movie. I'm British. Bend It Like Beckham, got to be up there. And of course, Goal. Goal is everybody's favourite football movie, apart from Goal 3. Goal 3 doesn't count, didn't happen, doesn't exist. Let's have a look. Please tell me how to make our boots more comfortable. Buy boots that fit. I'm not trying to be like facetious there. Literally, buy a pair of boots that when you put them on, fit properly and feel comfortable on your feet. It's the most important thing you can do. You can of course change out the insoles and things like that, and you can do different lacing methods to try and lock yourself into the heel. But what you got to do is pick a pair of boots that's in the right size, fits you well, and if you want something that's particularly like comfortable, maybe a bit more roomy, go for like a Future 5.1, 6.1, something like that, padding, roomy. They are a more comfortable boot, but it's all about getting the sizing right. When are you doing the next Q&A? At this rate, I'm going to run out of questions for like the end of time. So hopefully I will do one. I'm going to try and do a live stream every week while I'm still in lockdown. So we'll do another live stream at some point next week. I'll get all the information up on my Instagram and also on my community page on YouTube. So keep an eye on those. Sim061, why are some... Okay, so this is a good question. I explained this to him on Instagram and he wants me to kind of break it out for everybody else. Why do some boot releases go exclusively to some stores? So why do some places only get like academy tier boots? Why do other places get like why do some places only have certain elite boots, and it's all down to your contracts with the brands. And I'll use Nike as the example here because it's the one I know the most about. Depending on your store, depends on what tier you fall into with Nike, and generally it's down to how many units you sell. Now of course some places are going to push to they only want to be in the lower tiers, like a Sports Direct in their stores they only have the lower tiers, and that's a deliberate choice by them. But Nike basically only allows certain boots to be sold in certain stores, so it's literally your contract with the brand influences what you're allowed to sell in your shop. And then of course there's exclusive releases, like some that exclusively go to Pro Direct and things like that, but that's kind of a bit different. So it's all about your deal with the brand if you're a store. I hope that answers the question. What else have we got going on here? Puma Ultra, Puma Future, current generation Puma Ultra. I've recently bought X Ghosted 0.3 laceless. It fits perfectly and comfortable also, but sometimes I get pressure on my foot from the inner boot. Yeah, if it fits, it's comfortable, you get some pressure on your foot, you're probably just gonna have to break them in a little bit. There's not really a huge amount you can do about that. Just break them in and I'm sure they will be okay. Do you ever resell your boots or keep all of them? If I kept all of my boots, this room would be full of boots. Yes, I sell a lot of my boots eventually. I actually already have somebody who's bought these off me, so I've just done my review, been out in them a few times, and somebody's already bought these off me, so they've already gone. I sell a lot of my boots just to keep the channel going. I can't afford to keep all the boots I buy. That would be absolute madness. I would be broke in a month, so I have to just sell a lot of my boots. Okay. Where are we at? Holy Grail boot that I don't have. That's from Yuli as well. The Holy Grail boot that I don't have, I'm at the point now with my collection where I'm very much leaning towards my Holy Grails being player boots. So it would be a messy Nemesis. Like I want a boot that has the messy custom sole plate and the two-piece upper, partly because I want to be able to see it, and obviously I'd love to be able to wear it. So a lot of kind of like pro boots, but I'd also love a pair of the Alex Morgan Phantom Venoms. There's only 100 of those made, and I would love a pair of those in the collection as well. They would probably be like, you know, the retail and then a player boot that would go into my thing. Liam wants to know more goalie reviews, please. You got to go over to Del Air Football and badger the man to make some goalie reviews. He's my goalkeeper expert. He comes on BootWizard, does them with me. So let's get Del Air Football. Don't badger him. He's just had a child. Honestly, give the man time. He needs to sleep. What else have we got here? Do you ever, which boots would be best for the average price and what store would be better? Honestly, you have to shop around. Like, there's not necessarily one store that's gonna be better than another. Pro Direct have a lot of good stuff at discount prices, and my best advice to you is to buy something that is an old boot, so from a couple of seasons ago or a season ago that's on sale. That's your best way to get good value for money, rather than buying a cheap takedown boot. If you want a takedown boot that's on sale, then buy an old Vapor Pro. They're usually pretty quality. Water, drinking. Whoo! Okay. My favorite boot, current favorite boot, Nemesis 0.1 is my favorite current boot to wear. Andrew Palmer 5, best boots for wet days. For me, this is all about the stud pattern. So if it's super wet, I go for a 6 stud. If it's fairly wet, a mix is fine, an SG mix. But it's all about picking the right stud pattern for me, and then just avoiding anything that's got excessive amounts of exposed material. A boot I did use a lot in the wet is actually the Tequila V2. I have that in an SG pattern, an SG mix, and I tended to use that quite a lot. I still have that boot actually, so that's worth considering. David, so David is somebody I've known for a good while, and he wants to know, is the fact that so many colorways being released every month, is that the reason that a lot of these stores we were talking about earlier don't carry elite models anymore? Well, no. The answer is, my previous answer, is to do with their branding and their deal with the companies, and a lot of companies carry what's known as the inline colorway. So they carry the colorway that the pros are wearing, and they ignore and don't stock the disruptor colorways. Maybe they'll stock the blackout as well, and then they don't stock the elite because in most cases, for example Nike, their biggest selling boot tier is actually the Academy, so they will stock more Academies because that makes sense. Football Fantasist, who was actually on here earlier, and unfortunately we had a nightmare with the initial stream, and he unfortunately has had to go off. The initial stream had no audio, so we're trying again. He wants to know what my footballing history is. Amateur at best. I was never a particularly great footballer, but I play in goal. I love playing in goal. It's my favourite position, and yeah, there you go. I've never played at a particularly high level. I played reasonably well, but I would never claim to be a great football player. I have knowledge on boots, not on the game. I just enjoy it. Antonio Aguilera, I assume, relation to Christina maybe. Which boot has better durability? I'm going to really give you a terrible answer, and I'm sorry. I don't use boots often enough to give you an opinion on durability, really, because I tend to test them. I'll test them for the review, so I'll take them out 2, 3, 4 times. Maybe you'll get 4, 5, 6 hours in the boots, up to 10 hours for reviews, and then I will do the review, sell the boots on, or keep them in my collection and be on to the next one. So I don't really know about durability too much because I don't use boots enough for them to break. I'm really sorry. Whose chances do you fancy better at the moment? Chelsea in the Champions League or Man United in the Europa League? Oh, that's a good question. I think that you've got to go United in the Europa League because I can't see Chelsea overcoming some of the teams that are still in that group, like Bayern, like PSG, whichever one gets through that game. Like, I can't see Chelsea overcoming them. They just aren't quite there yet. Tuchel's done a great job. And he seems to be really pulling the team in the right direction. But I can't see them beating a lot of teams that are still in that competition. And I think that United should get through the next game. I really love Roma, and I used to live in Amsterdam, so I followed Ajax for a long time. So I'd love to see that matchup, United Roma or United Ajax. And I think if United get through, whoever wins that game, the United versus Roma or Ajax, that'll be the winner. I think that's what we'll have. Let's have a look. Should I stock up on boots you like? Yes. This was Levi Winter. He asked me, he really likes the Vapor 13, so should he stock up on a lot of those boots for the next 2 or 3 years? If you are super sold on a boot and it works for you and you love it, pick them up while they're cheap. Like, boots have a weird cycle. It's like their retail price, then they go on sale, and then they kind of level off a bit, and then they dump into like crazy cheap prices, but they're harder to find. And then gradually, after like 5 or 6 years, they start to climb back up in price as they become collectible. So if you really found a boot you loved and it's down the bottom end of the price and you can afford it, definitely stock up. I have 2 pairs of Vapor 13s for basically that exact reason. What else have we got down here? I think we're getting oversaturated. Do I think we're getting oversaturated with boots? Yes. We had 13 to 14 Predator 19 Plus, and when we had far less Predator Mania colorways, at what point will it hurt companies to have too many colorways? Yeah, I think we actually had between 14 and 16 Predator 20 plus colorways, mutator colorways. Absolutely insane. I can't believe we had that many, and I think we've already reached saturation. If companies release any more, people just physically won't be able to buy them. I honestly thought that 12 over the course of a 12-month span would be like peak, but with limited editions and stuff, it seems like 15 or 16 is it. I think if they go any more, surely it's going to hurt sales. They're already scaling back on what boots they're putting out. Like, for example, the MDS, Nike deliberately didn't put out in the MDS 4 a Vapor and a Superfly because of COVID and restrictions and trying to keep the costs down. So I think companies have got to look at releasing less colorways. Although I also think limited editions are a problem here because, for example, we've had 2 Predator Freak colorways so far and 2 Accelerator remakes, both since the start of the year. Like, give us a break. Come on. Yeah, remakes, that's anger built up for another video. What do you think about the new SG Pro and the Mercurials, that you can't screw them out, and Nike making SG Pro normal for pro players without anti-clog? Yeah. So, I feel like if you believe what Nike say, the new SG Pro is a good idea because it makes the sole plate more flexible, which is what's important, and that's why a lot of players get stud conversions. However, the pro players are still not using the new SG Pro. They're still getting stud conversions. They're still using the screw in, screw out studs. When I get a pair of the new SG Pro in hand, I'll be able to tell you if there is a difference. But it seems to me like maybe it's a misstep from Nike, and if it's not a misstep and it's a deliberate choice, then maybe it's one that isn't the best, to be honest with you. Let's have a look. What else we got here? Chelsea might go through Porto, but no further. Exactly. Which one is better, Vapor 13 or 14? Because 13 is crazy good. Depends what you're looking for. 13 is going to be maybe a better package. 14 has a bit more of a comfortable fit and a bit more of a barefoot touch. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to end the live stream. I do have more questions, so I'm going to record these questions and upload them as a part 2 of me doing a record of the Q&A. The only reason I'm doing this is because there's a big thing on my screen right now that is flashing red and white, which means my battery is going to die on my camera. It's not designed to go this long, people, and I was trying to give you a lovely view. So if anybody has one last quick question, throw it in now. What's your opinion on the new Tiempo leaks? Interesting. Maybe moving in the direction that I didn't want it to move in. We'll go that far. So do remember to hit like on the video, get subscribed to the BootWizard channel. If you have more questions, you can put them down in the comments of this video and I'll add them to part 2. Apologies if I didn't answer your question yet. I promise I will answer it in part 2. If you can support the channel, if you want to, please head over to patreon.com/BootWizard, where you can do so. Any support is always appreciated for the channel. We put a lot of work in here, and you guys just being on here, this has blown me away today. I was expecting 2-3 people, 3-4 questions, which is why I have all these questions from other people. So thank you so much to everybody who has jumped on today and asked a question or just watched. It's been absolutely huge and better than I could have ever anticipated. We will definitely do this again. If there's any other live stream things you want to know, you want to kind of me to cover on a live, put them down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to do that. This has been a lot of fun. It's great to interact with you guys. We want this to be a BootWizard community, and that's what you guys are. You're part of the BootWizard community, so get involved with the community, and I'm always here for you. I'll always answer any questions as best I can. So that's everything. Hold on, Nike said this new anti-clog sole plates from interviews is pro players. They want something like this, but still not using anti-clog. But yeah, that's exactly what Nike said, that it's for pro players, but then pro players aren't using it, which is madness, right? But anyway, that is all from me here today. Get subscribed to pick up part 2, where I'll go through the rest of the questions. Sorry if I haven't covered them. I've spoken for too long already. Have a good one. We will see you soon. Goodbye.